I think let's dive into some of the names, and we can kind of dissect this a little bit if you're game for that. The first sort of trio here, and really this I think will be the group that we're really considering, um, the most in these coming years, is Phillip Rivers, obviously recently retired, although who knows, maybe the Colts can coax him out.
He said later in the year he's got to finish up his high school coaching season and then make a playoff push.
Okay, yeah. That doesn't scream dedication to the game to me. I don't know about that. But Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, that trio of guys from the 2004 class. You look at what they've done. I guess are any of those three completely surefire locks to you?
I think there's two surefire locks. I think Roethlisberger's a lock, and I think Phillip Rivers is ultimately a lock. And I'm going to call Eli Manning a lock because of his pedigree. I mean, Archie Manning is in the College Football Hall of Fame, the Saints Hall of Fame, and the Ring of Honor for the Saints. And he had a 35, 101, and 3 record as a starter. Like, they're just doing anything they can to keep that Manning conspiracy going. Might as well put Archie Jr. in there right now because it's a foregone conclusion. But I'm not considering him a lock just because I don't believe that he should be in. Or if he is in, his bust should have kind of like the devil and angel thing on each shoulder, one being Mario Manningham and one being David Tyree, just because that was what basically got him there.
That there should be a footnote on his bust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So these three are like just so interesting to me because I think for my money, Ben Roethlisberger is in. He has 2 Super Bowl championships. He, six Pro Bowls is a pretty good number. It puts him on par really with all Hall of Famers, and then that group that I sort of designated as modern Hall of Famers. He's thrown for over 60,000 yards, and he, assuming health, will throw for over 400 touchdowns after playing this season. He's at 396 right now. To me, he's a lock. I mean, he was on one of the he was the quarterback of one of the best teams of this whole era. The Steelers were always competitive. And he, while it wasn't a big reason why early, became a big reason why. They evolved.
He became a Big Ben.
He became a Big Ben. Yeah. They evolved into a big time passing team, and they would just let Ben drop back, 50 times a game and sling it. And they really relied on him. Now, maybe later on in those years, you can argue that those weren't the years that they were winning Super Bowls, but still, I mean, I think you get multiple Super Bowl victories. You factor in those counting stats, and you factor in that he was like, when you think of the best quarterbacks of this era, he's firmly in that conversation. I think he's in it. So it sounds like we're in agreement on that.
I do want to point out that he had one season where he only threw for 350 yards and had infinitely more interceptions than touchdowns. So that's probably going to hurt him. He had, in his 2019 season, he threw for 0 touchdowns and 1 interception in 2 games played.
Oh, that's tough. I'm not going to necessarily hold that against him, but
there's also a recency bias. So, are we going to remember that terrible season over his, 2 Super Bowl victories? Like, there's a lot to compare there.
Yeah, for sure. I think looking at the other two, I'm not so sure.
So Phillip Rivers,
yeah, I know Dan Fouts got in, but
Phillip Rivers is Dan Fouts.
He's the modern Dan Fouts.
He's perfect for commentary. He will not cuss on screen. They don't have to worry about bleeps. They don't have to worry about anything. He is the modern day Dan Fouts.
Well, so here's where it misses me a little bit with Rivers, though. So obviously the no championships thing that's always going to be a part of this discussion, whether it should be or not. And to your point, Fouts also zero championships. But Philip Rivers also was never once considered the top quarterback in the NFL if you're going off AP first team all pros. Zero. Dan Fouts did it twice. Now, Rivers did make the Pro Bowl 8 times, but that's also in an era where fucking Mitch Trubisky made the Pro Bowl one year just because he was an alternate
MVP.
Yeah, the MVP. Rivers definitely has like the massive numbers, the 63 over 63,000 yards. He has 421 career touchdowns, but he's literally a joke. Like, he is a meme to this era of football. He is the guy that you always talk about not winning. Like, that's what we think of him as, right? As a non-winner.
I agree, but in watching a lot of those San Diego, Los Angeles games, that was a coaching issue. This dude got traded for a Hall of Famer in Eli Manning. He got picked over a Hall of Famer in Drew Brees, and he replaced a Hall of Famer in Philip Rivers. Or sorry, in Peyton Manning for the Colts. So
Yeah.
he basically took on the Manning brothers and Drew Brees. This dude deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Dagnabbit.
I mean, I guess if we're going to be that liberal about it, like, you know, we should start carving Cam Newton's bust as well, right? I don't know. I guess, you know, you're right. I mean, he deserves some credit for the situations that he was in and the way that he continued to persevere. I mean, his numbers are great, and he definitely was one of the top guys for a while, but it just always felt like he was a step behind. And maybe that was coaching, and maybe it was the team around him, but
maybe it's a little bit of throwing mechanics. I don't know.
Yeah. But it just doesn't, he never felt to me like a guy that was one of the best for, you know, of his era. And you look at the numbers and you're like, oh, holy shit, like, really? And maybe that's just me. But when I'm thinking of a Hall of Famer, I'm thinking of a guy that I know was the elite of the elite, at least for a period of time. I feel that about Ben Roethlisberger. I don't necessarily feel that about Philip Rivers.
Do you feel that about Eli Manning?
No.
He was the elite of the elite for 2, 3, 4 games, a couple playoff runs. Like this, Philip Rivers to me is the last of the era where we didn't appreciate that throwing statistics could be what they are. So I think that he gets in because there's still that bias that this wasn't what the league was set up to be, a passing league, a true quarterback stat, just extravaganza. He's the last of that era, and that's why I think he gets in.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess then moving to Eli. Eli, as you as a Patriots fan know all too well, does have 2 championships. Also sitting on 0 AP first team all pros and only 4 Pro Bowls, which puts him pretty low on this list when you're looking across and comparing. He did have 57,000 yards and 366 touchdowns. Both of those pretty damn good numbers overall. But again, similar to Philip Rivers, we know Eli got hot at the right time a couple times. And as you pointed out, got lucky with the David Tyree catch, the Mario Manningham play as well. There's luck there, and he got on a heater at the right time. But in general, when you think of Eli Manning, you think of him as the mouth breather. Like, you type in Eli Manning into the GIF bar on Twitter, and the first 10 things that pop up are him looking like a freaking doofus on the sideline. And that, to me, that's not what the Hall of Fame is. And if we are ignoring numbers here and you're talking narrative, Eli's narrative I don't think it holds up. I just
It
don't think it holds
doesn't
up,
at all.
even
He
with the
led
two
the
Super
league in
Bowls.
interceptions 3 times. Like, that's not a Hall of Famer. He's never been considered among even, I would say, the top 5 of the quarterback in any given season. He has 2 Super Bowls. He has the name Manning. That's what's lifting him up right now.
Absolutely. I just wanted to do a quick check here because Brett Favre, who is in the Hall of Fame and is without a doubt, a Hall of Famer anyway you cut it, also led the league in interceptions 3 times. But I think we're
But he
talking about a little bit of
but he was also putting the team on his back and making risky plays, making tremendous throws. I don't think that there's ever been a time where you've seen Eli Manning throw a football and you're like, no other quarterback in the league could have made that pass.
oh,
And
I know.
mostly it was Brett Favre throwing across his body on stupid shit that he never should have done. But he's like, my arm is so damn strong, it doesn't matter that I'm running to the left and throwing back to my right. Manning I feel like he had his eyes closed on half of his passes and was just living on a prayer.
Yeah, I was making a joke. I definitely was not disagreeing with you there. Favre also led the league in touchdowns 4 times. And
Yeah, Eli
as a
Manning's
Bears
never done
fan,
that. He's only thrown for over 30 touchdowns in 3 seasons.
yeah. And in with the modern passing rules and all this stuff that we're talking about here, I mean, that's not to me, that's just not Hall of Fame worthy. Favre, you talk about, yeah, he was a gunslinger. He threw interceptions similar to Eli. Favre, as a Bears fan, is on the receiving end of way too many throws where I said to myself, there is not a single other player in the league that makes that throw. Now, maybe there's a few guys that you could say that about: Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, maybe a Josh Allen, but like yeah, Favre without a doubt there was no question about him there. So yeah, the interception comment was, more just a joke. But
My
I,
thing is that he was in a major media market. There's only been 2 other quarterbacks with a sub 500 record that have made the Hall of Fame. Joe Namath, and who played for the New York Jets, and then Sonny
mhm,
Jurgensen, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins. So if you're looking at an NFC East type of thing, and you're looking at so the Hall of Fame committee is made up of 1 representative from each of the 32 cities, as well as 16 at-large bids. They only need to have 39 votes to get Eli in, and because he's from a big media market, because he has a name,
the
because he
Manning
has
name.
because he has 2 Super Bowls, I think he's ultimately going to get in, as undeserved as I ultimately believe it is.
Gosh, to me, if Eli's in, the Hall of Fame means nothing. It means nothing.
I,
We're not talking about the elite of the elite at that point.
you were talking about who had a hot streak, got 2 Super Bowl victories. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo has 2 Super Bowl victories, right? He wasn't
Yeah,
playing
I
in
guess he
them, but he
does.
has 2 Super Bowl victories.
Yeah, that's like I'm looking at this list and it's like Drew Bledsoe has a Super Bowl victory. It's like, well, yeah, Tom Brady was the quarterback there.
Starting at the
Uh,
time, exactly.
yeah. So yeah, I think Eli's just not it for me. He's just not. And if he gets in, that'll be pretty disappointing. This will be when that group is up. So obviously we got 5 years from Rivers. We've got 4 till Eli's up, and Ben, assuming this is his last year, so we're 6 years away from that. We'll get to see how this plays out relatively soon. And Eli being the first one of this group, I think if Eli gets voted in first ballot, you can guarantee that Philip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger will also be first ballot Hall of Famers.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to get to. If Eli's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I can see him being held out. I don't see that there's any consternation that's the
Yeah.
voting committee is saying, okay, we're on the fence. We don't know if his accolades are good enough. He's either in first ballot or he's not going to get there.